where people, were more evenly balanced, they had no choice but to sit down and come up with some solutions rather than playing this win-at-all-cost, hyper-partisan, wingnut politics. It's really not a matter of splitting the state. It's a matter of joining up with the people around the state who have things in common.
No, it isn't.
People who love their state of Florida. So, yeah, so we don't need to split up. We need to get along.
He's so wrong.
Expand on my comments? Hold on, is anyone else?
I mean, I can speak to it. I'm running for office because I've never just been, part of the group that just, tries to not give up, but find new ways to do things. I want to be part of the solution. And I think that South Florida is of vital importance to the rest of the state, but we can't forget the relationship that we have to the northern part of the state. If you succeed the southern part of the state, you're basically succeeding the Everglades, or what used to be the Everglades. And if you read The Swamp, which I recommend you do, is the history of Florida through the eyes of the Everglades, you'll learn a lot about the state and the importance that all our communities have to work together in synergy. And I think if we inherit the problems of South Florida alone as a state, we would run the risk of having major catastrophe exposure. We would run the risk of having limited resources, and I think that's short-sighted. I think more importantly, what we need to do is have better representation here to make the dollars that we're sending up there actually count. And if we do that, then the dividing the state into bifurcating it is not necessary.
Can I expand on my comments?
It doesn't have the numbers. There's not enough numbers in the legislation.
To answer your question, we joke about it. We joke about dividing the state because sometimes it feels like it's north versus south. I really think that what needs to happen is we need to elect more fiscally responsible, socially moderate representatives that have not their resumes in mind when they go to Tallahassee, and then they can become lobbyists afterwards and make, rake in the dough after they have served their 8 years. We need to elect people who are going up there for the right reasons, and we need to question why exactly are you running for office, and what is your background, and what have you done, and what do you want to do, rather than to say, okay, let's split the state. Because first, I would love to be able to say that it's easy. But it is not an easy task to do that, nor do I think that it is realistic at this point in time in the nation to be splitting up the state into two. I just think that we need to work together. I think that we need to, get down to work and do the work that's required of the citizens, not special interests.
Has everybody answered it, want to answer it?
I'll get a simple solution. If it's an issue about splitting two states and Southern Florida being a donor state, then we should just have a constitutional amendment where we get most of the money. Because what we're doing is when we partition money unfairly to the other areas outlined here is, and I'm like I said, a Jeffersonian. I believe in limited government, smaller government, but when you give them more money that's needed, they're going to naturally grow, and that is a cost for them to maintain. And they're always going to use money, but if you limit what they receive, then they're going to have to live within their means. It's like in California, they had a table. Property tax was out of control. They used the taxpayer bill of rights to limit what government spend through. That's tied to GDP, inflation, population growth. We didn't have that for 10 years. So there was this unprecedented spending for 10 years. They thought that there was no ceiling on the money received, but that's not realistic. But where did the money go? So if we had a way to limit government, like the Tabor, as well as having a constitutional amendment on what they could receive up north, while we retain most of it, then that would be more of a solution than partitioning two different states.
Well, we joke around about dividing up the state and so on, because obviously we have very different interests in terms of our donor capacity, of our fight over the funding and so on. I live in South Florida just like you do, so I suffer your pain. I'm a product of public schools, so is my daughter, so I want the best funding for ourselves in terms of that. But the reality is that we need to, just like everybody else wants to, have funding, and just like Mayor Flynn over here, we belong to communities that incorporated to control our local areas. So like my fellow Republicans would believe in local control, less government. So if we can have something, I would like a constitutional amendment which says that the sales tax and revenues that come out of here go back here, so that we spend our money within our area and it doesn't get split up. And that's why they voted for gambling, which says basically we have the gambling and it gets shared in Dixie County the same it does in Dade County. So that's not very fair. But so obviously we all would agree on that. But otherwise we have to all put up the good fight.
One last question.
No, can I just finish on we say it in jest, and I think we see that there's a group of people, larger group of people in Miami-Dade County that have suggested that idea, and I have been. I think they say it as to make a point, and the point is that we are exhausted, we are taxed, we have the highest cost of living in the state, we are taxed to the limit, and we are subsidizing infrastructure and governmental life in central and northern Florida. And when I say that central and northern Florida, north and south, is an enemy, no. This is reality. When term limits were placed, strategies were formed. Central and northern Florida vote together. Go back and look at the records. It is public record. Central and northern Florida vote together. Now, if West Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade voted together as a union consistently in issues that affected us, and we did not allow ourselves to be divided and conquered, then we would be the victors. That's it. It's very simple. It's not that we want to divide the state. It's just we need to have legislators that learn to say no and not play that political infighting game.
Right. Okay. One more last question, which is on the state going to be on the ballot this fall. There's an issue called hometown democracy. Hometown democracy would let these individual citizens vote on their master plans. The master plans would not be in charge of the local politicians. Here in Dade County, master plans and local politicians and the developers and the lobbyists, okay, and the land use attorneys, basically, is the reason we have sprawl. Okay? My family's been here since 1926. It's been going on before 1926. Okay? We're in this 80 years that we can't stop this process. So we've got this chance, okay, to pass this, which is going to, if anybody doesn't understand basically what the master plan is, it basically is your plan on future development in your area. It will allow the people of the county, cities, everything, to have to approve it, not the elected government. So, starting anywhere, what do you think about it? Yay or nay, and basically why?
2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Oh.
1 minute.
Say yes or no.
Mr. Pastor, why don't you start?
Yes or no?
My problem with Amendment 4 is that it's not specific enough. I think that, look, if we were specifically saying we don't want to expand the UDB, there would be no expansion of UDB under no circumstances, then absolutely, I'd be for it. But it doesn't say that. It says that when there's going to be, in the gist of it, when I've read of it, is that whenever time there's going to be a major construction project, and there's going to be a variance that to be applied for, whatnot, then it has to go to voters. Now, one, that's unrealistic. You know how much an election costs, how much it costs to put out things to the voters, and although I agree with the intent, we do have elected officials, and that I believe in our government. And I'm not a pessimist. I'm an optimist. I believe that we can elect people that care, and this election cycle specifically is going to be very, very important.